This is Fallen Aces. It's the latest concoction from the group of anarchist mages that masquerades as New Blood Interactive. This New Zealand-based cooperative, who graciously provided a review key, are responsible for such hits as Dusk, Ultrakill, and Faith, the Unholy Trinity. Conjured into being by the warlocks Trey Powell and Jason Bond, Fallen Aces is a first-person immersive sim with a comic book art style set amidst a 1920s crime noir backdrop. The game's first episode, which features 5 chapters in total, is available now on Steam Early Access. Let's see if it hits on all 6s or not. Like all immersive sims, Fallen Aces is about conflict resolution. Such conflicts include the struggle between good versus evil, stealth versus action, and most importantly, humans versus Italians. Fighting for Team Humanity is the player character Michael Thane, a private detective working in the city of Umberg. Cynically known as Switchblade City by its residents, Umberg is an artistic rendition of the very real 10th circle of hell that mortals have come to call New York City.
Hey guys, I'm in New York City just hanging out.
Fallout nerds will no doubt recognize Mike's voice as belonging to River Canoff, the voice actor behind the character Aiden in Fallout 4's excellent Sim Settlements 2 mod.
Do you know where he's been taken?
No. Why don't you search around or something? Maybe you can find the answer to who did this.
Okay, yeah, sure. I'll search and you can smoke more cigarettes.
Joining him is Cameron Nichod, Marissa Lenti, Carlo Malis, John Winfield, and the primary antagonist to human existence, Gianni Matrograno. Next to its gameplay and art direction, the voice acting is one of the best parts of Fallen Aces. River does a great job of conveying Mike as a cocky smart aleck doing his best to survive a missing persons case gone wrong.
Rescuing this broad ain't gonna be easy. I always did like a challenge.
At the beginning of the game, Mike is introduced to Nightwave, a wanted vigilante and former member of the defunct crime-fighting group, the Aces.
We need to move. Follow me.
Voiced by Cameron Nichod, Nightwave's dry and matter-of-fact attitude nicely contrasts against Mike's carefree sarcasm.
Alright, Mr. Party Crasher, you gonna let me in on your angle? You got a name?
Just call me Nightwave.
They print that on your birth certificate?
Marissa Lenti and Carlo Malis do a great job with their roles as Delia Price and Glassjaw, respectively. Delia, aka Scarlet Whisper, is tough if a bit rough around the edges.
Nightwave sent you? Ugh, lazy prick. Making you and me do all his dirty work. I know you can hear me through that comm, Night Dick.
Glassjaw, an up-and-coming gang leader, is fearsome and vicious.
All I'm saying is, after all the shit he put us through, why ain't we iced this?
John Winfield perfectly executes the role of an old-timey radio host through his character Al Sweeten.
After much deliberation, the mayoral election will be going ahead this Friday, despite the assassination attempt made by an unidentified gunman last Monday.
Gianni Matrograno is Gianni Matrograno, and Gianni Matrograno does what Gianni Matrograno does. He talks about gabagool.
Rich asshole can afford a nice big house like this, but doesn't even use any of that dough to buy some proper cold cuts. I mean, sure, we got a little salami here, bologna, and turkey Swiss, yada yada. Where's the damn gabagool?
Like I said, the voice acting in Fallen Aces is one of the game's strongest selling points. There's lots of fun dialogue and the voice cast nail their roles. Perhaps a little too well.
Oh. Wait. Oh my God. I can feel it. It's the big one.
Particularly violent displeasure with the constant delays, demanding the film's release after its excessive 3 years of production. Don't think it'll be worth releasing just yet, folks.
I won't go into specifics regarding the story as it's incomplete, but I will say that I like the setup and am interested in seeing how it progresses. Alan Moore's Watchmen is an obvious influence, but thankfully Fallen Aces is set to forge its own path. A central theme seems to be sins of the past coming back to roost. Many of the characters have clearly visible potato chips on their shoulders that they've been trying to wipe off. Nightwave is taking a page out of the Batman school of therapy by being a workaholic. Mike copes by being the regular kind of holic.
Need to quit hitting the saw so hard.
Not much is elaborated on in either case, but again, what I've seen of the story has me hooked, and I look forward to seeing where it goes. Nothing beats a good old whodunit story in my book. Fallen Aces offers a lot to anyone pining for some of that good old non-linear level design. Levels are intricately woven in a way that supports multiple avenues of approach. Take the game's starting area, for example. The apartment building has 3 means of escape. You can follow the traditional path that sees you walking out of the ground floor lobby. You can take an alternate path that sees you climbing up to the lobby's roof. If that sounds too boring, then you can kick out your living room window and go from there.
Something fishy's going on. I ain't sticking around to find out what.
And that's just the starting area. Now, not every building you can go into is as open-ended, but the major ones are just as complex, if not more so. This won't be the last time that I say this, but this game reminds me a lot of Dishonored. I say that with the highest praise, mind you. I love Dishonored. The Moth and Flame nightclub in Chapter 5 is this game's Lady Boyle's last party. I don't want to show off too much and spoil anything, but all the levels are great. The only one that I would consider to be a weak link is Chapter 3. The level itself is fine, but I feel like the metro could have been fleshed out more. Same with the residential area. You can crush people in a trash compactor though, so I'm not too fussed. The gameplay in Fallen Aces is just as robust as its level design. The world's your oyster, and you can approach it in any way that you want. You can play it straight and give everyone you meet a knuckle sandwich, complete with Looney Tunes level antics.
Let's go! Disregard, you piece of shit! Rough them up, boys!
If you're a pacifist at heart, then you can be the unseen phantom giving everyone the slip. If you just like people using the term private dick in your presence, then you can go full murder hobo.
Who the hell are you? Say, you boss.
I should add that the game's stealth mechanics lean towards the Dishonored end of the spectrum. Noise and visibility play a role, but they're not weighted as heavily as they are in a game like Thief. This is by design, but I'll go more into that in a bit. I haven't tested this in every chapter, but in Chapter 1, you can completely bypass every NPC in just over a minute.
No, shit!
Unlike its contemporaries, Fallen Aces shies away from allowing the player to hold a duffel bag's worth of stuff around. You can hold a total of 4 items at any one time, 3 in your inventory slots and 1 in your hands. In-hand items must either be thrown or dropped before you can access items in your inventory. Just about anything that isn't a static object can be used as a weapon. Bottles, alarm clocks, trash can lids, you name it. The obvious stuff is there too. Pipes, nail boards, Tommy guns, revolvers. There's even some more exotic choices like drills and spear guns. Dusk's very own Soap of Instant Death makes a cameo as well.
I hope I do get to push over an old guy in a wheelchair. Ladies and gentlemen, it's staying in the
All the weapons hit hard and are fun to use, but they do come with restrictions that you need to be aware of. Mundane items like coffee mugs are a one-and-done affair, while melee weapons degrade with use. Even a brand spanking new wrench only has a couple of hits in it before it disintegrates. Projectile weapons won't degrade if you use them as intended, but they will break if you bash people's faces in with them too much. Your traditional firearms are arguably the strongest weapons in the game. Because of this, ammo is both scarce and takes up one of your 3 inventory slots. Ammo is stackable, but this means that it's only practical to keep a single gun on hand. Additionally, most firearms are inaccurate at range, but this can be compensated for by smoking cigarettes just like in real life. Working together, these restrictions force the player not to rely on a single weapon, but to improvise, adapt, and overcome. I really enjoyed this approach. I can understand some folks being turned off by weapon degradation and a realistically sized inventory, but I think these mechanics work well together. Weapons are lying all over the place, and old Mikey Boy himself could easily make a career as a heavyweight boxer. Finishing moves even restore a small amount of health like glory kills in the newer Doom games.
Get over here!
Sit down.
That's a good segue to talk about the game's design philosophy more broadly. Anyone familiar with New Blood will probably know about their other immersive sim title known as Gloomwood. For those who aren't well versed in the genre, it can be confusing to know what separates the two at a deeper level. Both games are first-person experiences with intricate level design that reward exploration and out-of-the-box thinking. The point of divergence comes from philosophical differences in design. At the heart of Gloomwood's philosophy is Thief. In both games, the player is a glass cannon who's best suited to tackling a single enemy as stealthily as possible. Direct combat doesn't have to be avoided, but it's certainly encouraged. On the flip side, Mike can use the Berserk power-up from Doom.
I'm gonna crack your skull off. This is half-past ass beating now. Crack your skull open.
How'd you like that, huh?
If it wasn't obvious from the heads-up display, Doom has had a huge influence on the development of Fallen Aces. As a matter of fact, the game existed as a GZ Doom project back in 2016. Unfortunately, these early builds of the game have been lost, but a few screenshots still exist. Back then, Trey Powell was the project's sole developer before Jason Bond joined in 2018. When the archmage of anti-capitalism Dave Oshry caught wind of the project, they had already moved everything to GameMaker, with levels still being made in Doom Builder. The maestro was pleased with what he saw and agreed to fund the project on the condition that GameMaker was ditched for something greater.
Unity.
A pact was signed and the duo became the newest acolytes admitted into the Order of No Quarters. They then pondered the Orb of Unity for many years until they released a demo for the game in 2021. With their ascension to the rank of Warlock the same year, Doom Builder was finally retired in favor of a Unity-powered level editor. So while its direct technological involvement may be gone, the soul of Doom still remains. Secrets, power-ups, end-screen stats, and what Doom-influenced game would be complete without some killer shotguns? It's all there.
It isn't Thane. Hey, look out, it's dead.
How'd you like that?
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Thane in the butt.
Boom! Dang!
In conclusion, if you want to play an immersive sim that's like Thief, play Gloomwood. If you want to play something that's like a mix between Dishonored and Doom, then Fallen Aces has you covered. You can't go wrong either way. In addition to feeling great to play, Fallen Aces looks and sounds great too. All the sound effects are nice and punchy, and there was nothing in there that stood out to me as being abrasive or obnoxious. Solid audio design all around.
Not bad.
The game's soundtrack is likewise a treat to the ears. The game automatically gets 100 bottle caps from me due to it featuring a cover of the Bob Crosby hit Way Back Home. This tickles my Fallout fancy greatly. The game's original music, which is composed by Josh Barron, is similarly soothing to my irradiated brain. Tracks like Broken Nose Samba and Mike's Theme faithfully imitate the golden age of jazz and big band that defined the pop music landscape of the Roaring '20s. I'm not well versed in these genres of music, so the only point of comparison that I can make from a video game perspective is LA Noire. If you liked that game's soundtrack, then you'll like this one too. The Fallen Aces soundtrack hasn't been released in any official capacity, but you can find all the tracks that I've used as background music at Josh's SoundCloud page. Links to that and his website will be in the description. I think the game's art direction speaks for itself. There's a few issues here and there, but the overall presentation is fantastic. While a game having a comic book inspired art style isn't new, I think Fallen Aces makes better use of it than most. 2D sprites with rotoscoped animations is the best fit for a game as stylized as this one. It just wouldn't look right in full 3D. Switchblade City looks great as well, and you really get the sense that this is a major city in serious decline. There seems to be little standing between the haves and the have-nots, and it looks like the whole town could fall apart at any moment. In keeping with its comic book roots, Switchblade City is colorful, well lit, and visually appealing. If you want to trick people into thinking that you're sophisticated, then there's a black and white filter that you can turn on in the options menu as well. Lastly, the game's cutscenes are a big highlight, and I'd absolutely be down for a motion comic spin-off.
What the?
Next time, I'm calling a cab.
Not everything is perfect in Fallen Aces, mind you. The game does have some annoyances that I would like to see addressed. Hit detection is a bit wonky at times, at least from my experience. The pipe-wielding goons seem to have a longer reach than I would expect, but in fairness, this may be a skill issue on my part, as I've not mastered the timing on blocks. Another inconsistency that I've experienced is in how the game classifies dark areas. In this part of Chapter 4, you can see large swaths of shadow that one would reasonably assume would result in being completely hidden. That's not the case though. Looking at the HUD, you can see me go from being partially hidden to completely hidden, seemingly at random. Despite standing in what looks like to be the black void of outer space, I'm failing to meet some indiscernible threshold that would grant me complete obscurity. This isn't a game-breaking issue by any means, but it does have a tangible impact on how people approach stealth, so I think it's worth looking into. While I enjoyed the game's art direction, there are a few areas that could use some improvement. For the most part, the 3D objects peppered throughout Switchblade City work well within the stylized world of the game. They stand out, but in a way that's complementary to the overall direction that the game is going for. Some of them, however, stick out a little too much. In a similar vein, a handful of the weapon sprites have outlines that aren't filled in all the way. I don't know if it's intentional, like it's a callback to printing errors in comic books, but it bothers me. That's it. The last thing that I notice is that sometimes objects will sink halfway through the floor, but I'm guessing that's a bug. If it wasn't already clear, these are all very minor issues that I have with the game. What's on offer is great, and the issues that do exist are small and manageable. Performance has been stellar, and there's nothing in here that's fundamentally flawed or broken. It just works. The one true downside to Fallen Aces is the fact that it's an early access title that won't be feature complete for a couple of years. A two-man team can only do so much, but since this is a New Blood title, they'll thankfully have the time and resources to do things right. The upside is that this is the best time to provide feedback on what does and doesn't work. Case in point, the devs are aware that the game is a little bit on the easy side and are going to address it in a future update. Would I recommend getting the game now? Yes. What's currently on offer is awesome, highly replayable, and I have complete faith that it'll only get better. The game's price will go up with each new episode's release, so this is the best time to buy in if money's a concern. And we all know that money is the best form of defense against those crazy, kiwi-loving, hobbit hole-dwelling, LNP drinking sorcerers. One could argue that Fallen Aces is nothing more than an elaborate psyop designed to rehabilitate the term goon back to its criminal roots. And I would be right. Much of the former Soviet Union has succumbed to the infection, and it's only a matter of time until the rest of the world follows suit. The children yearn to wear flat caps and refer to anyone in a position of authority as the boss. Soon, The Sopranos will dethrone Breaking Bad from the popular consciousness, Mafia will become an aesthetic, and Italy's revenge against Habsburg Austria will be complete. God have mercy on us all.